The jukebox hummed low in the corner of that small, town bar, the kind of place where the smell of beer clung to the wooden floorboards, and strangers became familiar after just one night. It was a Tuesday evening. The kind of night when nothing remarkable was supposed to happen. But everything changed the moment the biker pushed through the swinging door. He was tall, broad. His leather jacket, covered in patches from clubs no one dared question. His boots pounded against the floorboards as he walked toward the bar, drawing every eye in the room. People shifted uncomfortably, lowering their voices. He had that look, half danger, half storm, the kind of presence that made you instinctively shrink into the shadows. And sitting quietly at a corner table was her, Claire, a woman who carried herself with simplicity, almost invisible in her plain blouse and jeans. She wasn't there to draw attention. Just a glass of iced tea in front of her, her hands folded neatly around it, like she was trying to hold onto a piece of calm in a world that often forgot her. The biker noticed her. Maybe it was the way she tried not to look at him. Or maybe it was because trouble always had a way of finding the quiet ones. He swaggered over, his grin sharp and unsettling. The whole bar seemed to hold its breath as he leaned down, placing a heavy hand on the edge of her table. "You look out of place here, sweetheart," he said, his voice low, the kind of voice that wasn't asking a question, but demanding an answer. Claire tried to smile politely, shifting in her chair. "Just waiting for a friend," she whispered, though no one was coming. The biker chuckled, the sound dark. He reached out, tugging at her blouse, pulling at the fabric like it was a toy. The rip was sudden, sharp, loud enough to make the room jolt. Gasps echoed through the bar. Claire froze, her face burning with humiliation. She raised her hands instinctively to cover herself, her heart racing as the room blurred. And then, silence fell. Because beneath the torn fabric, across her shoulder and down her arm, inked into her skin with sharp precision, was the unmistakable tattoo of the United States Marine Corps. The eagle, globe, and anchor gleamed in the dim light, like a shield carved into her very being. The biker's hand dropped. His smirk vanished. It wasn't just a tattoo. It was a story written in pain, sacrifice, and duty. And everyone in that room recognized it. The bartender, who had been polishing a glass with trembling hands, straightened. The old man by the dartboard, a Vietnam vet who hadn't spoken much all night, whispered, "Semper Fi," under his breath, his eyes wet. Even the jukebox seemed to quiet down, as though the universe itself paused to honor her. Claire didn't shout. She didn't fight. She simply looked up at the biker, her steady gaze cutting through the bravado he wore like armor. "Is this what you came here for?" she asked softly, her voice carrying strength that no ripped shirt could diminish. The biker took a step back. His chest rose and fell like he'd been punched. And in that moment, something cracked in him. He wasn't looking at a fragile woman anymore. He was staring at a warrior, someone who had walked through deserts, who had faced storms of bullets, who had stood in places he could never imagine and carried burdens he would never understand. The bar was still silent, but it wasn't fear anymore. It was respect. One by one, people shifted closer to Claire, not to protect her, because clearly she didn't need protecting, but to stand with her. The bartender set down her drink without charging a dime. The old man by the dartboard raised his glass toward her. Even a young couple near the jukebox, who had been planning to leave, stayed seated, their eyes locked on her with awe. The biker cleared his throat, his jaw tight. For the first time, he didn't look dangerous. He looked small. His hand twitched like he wanted to apologize, but didn't know how. Finally, he muttered, "Didn't know," and backed away, leaving his drink untouched on the bar. Claire didn't chase him. She didn't need to. She just fixed the torn edge of her blouse as best she could, her hands steady now. And in that moment, The entire room seemed to draw closer, not out of pity, but out of reverence. Because what froze that bar wasn't just a tattoo. It was the story behind it. The courage, the battles fought, the sacrifices endured in silence. And though Claire had walked in as a woman invisible to the world, she left that night as someone unforgettable. No one remembered the biker's name, but everyone remembered her. The air inside the bar remained heavy after the biker slipped out into the night. No one moved at first. Just the quiet clink of ice melting in glasses, the faint hum of the jukebox, and Claire sitting there, shoulders squared, her torn blouse still hanging open at the seam. Then the old man by the dartboard made his way over. He moved slow, one hand steadying himself against a chair, his other holding his glass high. His eyes glistened as he stopped at Claire's table. "My unit carried that same mark," he said, pointing to her tattoo. His voice cracked, but his pride was unshakable. "I haven't said Semper Fi to anyone in years, but tonight, I'll say it again. With everything I've got. Semper Fi, Marine." Claire blinked, surprised by the warmth in his words. She set her drink down and stood to shake his hand, but instead he pulled her into a gentle embrace. The bar erupted in applause, the sound rolling through the room like thunder. The bartender, a burly man with a gruff exterior, quickly disappeared into the back and returned with a brand new T-shirt. He slid it across the counter to her. "On the house," he said firmly. "And so are your drinks. Any time you walk through my door. This place owes you more than we can give." For the first time that night, Claire laughed. Not the nervous, truth-guarded laugh of a woman trying to disappear, but a real one, rich, unshaken, alive. She slipped the T-shirt over her shoulders, feeling not just covered, but seen. As she sat back down, something extraordinary happened. People from every corner of the bar, young, old, strangers who'd never spoken before, began pulling chairs closer to her table. They wanted to know her story. Not the ripped blouse, not the confrontation, but her. The young couple from the jukebox leaned in first. "My brother's a Marine too," the man said. "He'd want me to say thank you. For your service. For your courage. For everything." Claire smiled, a little shy but warmed all the same. She nodded, the lump in her throat too big for words. And as the night stretched on, the bar transformed. Laughter returned. Glasses clinked together in toasts, and music poured from the jukebox again. But something had shifted. There was a unity in that room. A sense that they had all witnessed something bigger than themselves. The biker's cruelty had torn a shirt, but in doing so, he revealed a truth that pulled a community closer. And Claire, the woman who had walked in invisible, left surrounded by people who saw her. Not just as a Marine, not just as someone marked by sacrifice, but as a living reminder of strength and resilience. When she stepped out into the cool night air, the old man from the dartboard walked her to the door. "Don't be a stranger," he said, patting her shoulder. "This place is a little better tonight because of you." Claire looked back at the glowing windows of the bar, hearing the laughter spilling out into the street. And for the first time in a long while, her chest felt light. She had gone in alone. She left knowing she'd never really be alone again.